Hello, you're tuning in the English News Bulletin on QPVN channel. I'm NGUYEN, and now let me keep you up to date with the headlines. Prime Minister MINH attends new academic year at CHÍEU Secondary School. ASEAN members' militaries cooperate for peace, security, and resilience. Military well responds to Super Typhoon YAGI. On September the 5th in Hanoi, General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm handed over an appointment decision to Vietnamese Ambassador to Laos, MINH. General Secretary and President Tô Lâm congratulated Mr. MINH, Deputy Head of the Party Central Committee's External Relations Commission, on his appointment as Vietnamese Ambassador to Laos. The General Secretary and President stated that, with his extensive diplomatic experience, Ambassador Tâm will further strengthen the Vietnam-Laos relations, bringing practical benefits to both nations while urging the ambassador to actively advise on strategic and tactical matters to enhance bilateral relations and serve as a bridge in developing the special Vietnam-Laos relations in the fields of politics, diplomacy, economics, trade, culture, and tourism. Ambassador Nguyễn Tâm pledged to deepen the Vietnam-Laos relations with a focus on political ties, defense, security, foreign affairs, and economic cooperation, viewing it as a vital foundation to further strengthen the bilateral relations. The same day in Hanoi, Prime Minister MINH attended the opening ceremony of the 2024-2025 academic year at CHÍEU Secondary School for students with vision impairment. CHÍEU Secondary School was founded in 1982 with the mission of providing education for visually impaired children in Hanoi, recalling President Hồ Chí Minh saying, "For the sake of a decade, plant trees. For the sake of a century, raise people." Prime Minister Chinh said that the party and state have always considered education and training as the top national policy and an extremely important area with decisive significance, with many policies, mechanisms, and strategies having been implemented to develop education and training. The Prime Minister emphasized that the sector should continue to promote these results in the 2024-2025 academic year, following the model of taking students as the center, teachers as motivation, schools as support, families as fulcrum, and society as foundation of education training activities. Prime Minister Chinh emphasized that with the spirit of human is the most valuable resource to carry out the cause of national construction and defense, human resource should be placed in the center, the driving force for development. At the same time, fairness, social progress, and social welfare shouldn't be sacrificed, and no one should be left behind. The Prime Minister expressed his hope that the school would continue to overcome difficulties, ensure facilities and teaching aids, especially for visually impaired students, maintain environmental hygiene, ensure food hygiene and safety, and manage clean and convenient accommodations for students to have the best learning conditions. Also on September the 5th, the 21st ASEAN Chiefs of Defense Forces meeting, or ACDFM-21 for short, took place in Vientiane of Laos, chaired by Senior Lieutenant General Kham Uthakason, Lao Deputy Defense Minister. Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Tân Cương, Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army and Deputy Defense Minister, attended the event. In his opening remarks, Senior Lieutenant General Kham Uthakason highlighted the crucial role of cooperation among ASEAN member states' militaries in building a peaceful, prosperous, and secure ASEAN region. He urged ASEAN countries to commit to regional peace, prosperity, and security, and continue building strategic trust through dialogue and cooperation. At the ACDFM-21, ASEAN Chiefs of Defense Forces expressed that the 2024 ASEAN theme chosen by Laos, ASEAN Together for Peace, Security and Resilience, reflects a shared desire to reaffirm long-standing ties, solidarity, and cooperative development towards an ASEAN community that effectively addresses current and potential challenges facing the region. At the meeting, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Tân Cương affirmed that the ASEAN has established itself as a premier forum, demonstrating unwavering solidarity and continuous development in cooperation among ASEAN member states' militaries. He stressed that only through enhanced political trust, unity, and practical cooperation among nations and their militaries can ASEAN effectively address transnational challenges. He also noted that ASEAN must maintain its central role in internal unity to assert its strategic position in the region. Regarding the East Sea or South China Sea internationally, General Cương reiterated Vietnam's consistent principle of resolving disputes and differences peacefully based on respect for independence, sovereignty, legitimate interest of nations, and adherence to international law, including the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. To further promote deeper cooperation among ASEAN militaries, the Vietnamese Deputy Defense Minister proposed strengthening ASEAN unity, consensus, and central role, while enhancing military cooperation, particularly through existing mechanisms, documents, and initiatives. As a responsible member of the international and ASEAN community, the Vietnam People's Army remains committed to participating in cooperative activities among ASEAN militaries. After adopting the two-year action plan 2024-2026 and signing the ACDFM 21 joint statement, the meeting concluded with the handover of the ACDFM 2025 chairmanship to Malaysia. Chief of the General Staff Nguyễn Tân Cương held bilateral meeting with some delegation heads on the sidelines of the ACDFM 21. Meeting Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines General Romeo Brawner, Chief of the General Staff Nguyễn Tân Cương expressed his pleasure at the recent development of the Vietnam-Philippines defense cooperation with substantial results in delegation exchange at all levels, consultations, dialogues, military cooperation, training, coordination, and mutual support at multilateral forums and mechanisms of ASEAN. Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Tân Cương proposed maintaining meetings and contacts at all levels, increasing exchange and experience sharing, particularly among young officers, and maintaining coordination in response to non-traditional security challenges, as well as mutual support at multilateral forums and mechanisms in the time ahead. In his meeting with General Songwit Nun Pakdi, Chief of Defense Forces of the Royal Thai Armed Forces, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Tân Cương was pleased with the development in the recent bilateral relations development in line with the Vietnam-Thailand strategic partnership. He suggested that in the coming time, the two militaries continue to maintain the defense policy dialogue, promote the exchange of delegations at all levels, especially high-level delegations. He hoped that General Songwit Nun Pakdi would pay attention to and direct his advisory agencies and units to work with Vietnamese partners in potential areas of cooperation. Meeting Vice Admiral Aaron Bung, Chief of Defense Force of Singapore, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Tân Cương lauded the sound cooperation between the two countries. He suggested fostering delegation exchange, especially at high level, and maintain annual dialogue mechanisms and training cooperation. He affirmed that the Vietnamese Ministry of National Defense is ready to send delegations to conferences, seminars, and forums hosted by Singapore. At the bilateral meetings, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Tân Cương invited military leaders of the countries to the celebration of the Vietnam People's Army 80th founding anniversary and the ASEAN Military Music Exchange and the second Vietnam International Defense Expo in Hanoi in December. The Vietnamese Ministry of National Defense welcomes military enterprises to the expo, contributing to fostering understanding and cooperation. On the morning of September 5th, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Văn Nghĩa, Deputy Chief of the General Staff, chaired a conference to work with relevant agencies and units on the preparation for the military parade in celebration of the 80th founding anniversary of the Vietnam People's Army and the 35th Whole People's Defense Festive Day. At the conference, General Nghĩa requested agencies and units to collect opinions and complete the organization plans, carried out preparation work as well as the training process thoroughly in all aspects, so that the military parade is not only to review the forces and demonstrate the position and great historic values of the birth of the Vietnam People's Army, but also to show the maturity, development, discipline, and modernity of the Vietnam People's Army in the past revolutionary struggle of the entire nation under the leadership of the party, as was in the current cause of building and safeguarding the fatherland. Coming up next, military well response to Super Typhoon Yagi. Vietnam commits to safety of Vietnamese migrants. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính signed an official dispatch directing ministries and localities to urgently respond to Typhoon Yagi. The storm is forecast to be very strong with a high level of natural disaster risk and complicated developments. The Prime Minister asked ministers, secretaries, and chairmen of people's committees of relevant localities to proactively and closely monitor forecast information and developments of the storm, rain, and flooding, promptly respond to situations, ensure safety of the people, especially children and vulnerable people, and minimize damages to property of the people and the state. Relevant ministries and units are also tasked with urgently updating response plans according to the storm's levels, deploying forces and vehicles for flood prevention and control work, ensuring safety for people living in dangerous areas, ensuring safety of dikes, dams, and traffic safety. The dispatch also stated that all forces and vehicles must be on duty round the clock in key and vulnerable areas to promptly handle any arising situations. On the afternoon of September the 5th, Deputy Prime Minister Trần Hồng Hà chaired an urgent meeting in response to Yagi, which evolves into the super typhoon en route to northern Vietnam. Up to now, domestic and international meteorological agencies have agreed that Super Typhoon Yagi has reached the strongest wind speeds of level 16 and is expected to weaken at level 12 as it approaches Vietnam, yet may still cause very heavy rain over a large area in the north. Storm forecast centers globally all agree that Typhoon Yagi would continue to maintain the super typhoon level 16 or higher, until it reaches the eastern coastal area of Hainan Islands in China. Up to now, the Vietnam Bodyguard Command has warned and guarded over 51,000 vessels with 220,000 people on board to safe shelters. From September the 5th to the 6th, sailing activities have been suspended in many localities from Quảng Ninh to Thanh Hóa, while people are recommended not to stay on boats, raft, and watchtowers because of the upcoming fierce storm. Functional forces are determined to ensure the absolute safety for the people. People in aquaculture areas must be evacuated. Vessels must be anchored in safe shelters. We must act resolutely for the safety of the people. First of all, forecasting must follow the right process, providing timely information related to storm level, the disaster risk index. The warnings must be vivid and straightforward. The forecasting agencies must work at full capacity. Leaderships of the government and the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development require the military and police forces to coordinate closely with the northern localities to proactively respond to Typhoon Yagi, with the 4 on-the-spot motto and the spirit of urgency and action without regret to identify prone areas and evacuate people before the storm makes landfall. As the storm causes heavy rain, especially in the northern mountainous areas, the Deputy Prime Minister requested forces to be prepared in terms of vehicles and personnel at all areas at risk of landslides and flash floods, while paying attention to sea dike safety. At the Ministry of Foreign Affairs regular press briefing in Hanoi on September the 5th, the ministry spokeswoman stated that the ministry has directed Vietnamese representative agencies in China and the Philippines to proactively coordinate with local authorities to secure safe harbor for Vietnamese vessels, support rescue operations, and ship repairs if necessary. The ministry also sent diplomatic notes to the Chinese and Filipino embassies in Hanoi, urging them to coordinate with their authorities to support Vietnamese vessels in case of emergency and assign personnel on duty around the clock to provide immediate support. Addressing the concerns about the 666 migrants stranded at Sao Paulo Guarulhos International Airport in Brazil, including several Vietnamese citizens, the Vietnamese spokeswoman reassured that the Vietnamese embassy in Brazil is working closely with local authorities to monitor the situation and take necessary measures to safeguard the citizens involved. She also stressed that Vietnam follows a consistent policy of promoting legal and safe migration, preventing illegal migration and human trafficking, and protecting the legitimate rights and interests of migrants. And that's all for now. Remember, you can always watch the news again at qpvn.vn. Now, thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.